Okay, here I am in Stonehaven, and I'm in the harbour at the moment, and Stonehaven Harbour's still pretty much a working harbour. It's got one or two lobster boats and much more seagulls who currently eye me up just now. But it's a lovely place to come. It's got a nice secluded bay and lots of holiday boats. It's also fairly good as a tourist attraction because of the Bervie Braes, which are just to the south of the harbour, and you can walk along those up to Dunnottar Castle. Like I said, there's plenty of lobster pots around the harbour in Stonehaven, and these are landed by just the one or two boats that actually operate from within Stonehaven Harbour itself. There's also the Maritime Rescue Institute, Toll Booth Restaurant, Toll Booth Museum, which is now volunteer run, the Ship Inn and the Marine Hotel, as well as a number of hotels and bed and breakfasts and guest houses and things like that. There's a fairly new wooden walkway on Stonehaven Beach. Well, it's been installed in the last 10 years anyway. And this is a big change from when I was a kid, because you couldn't get along the beachfront. Certainly not for the most of it. And it kind of opens up the beach to children and families at night. There's a few sculptures along the boardwalk in Stonehaven. You've got a couple of a dolphin, a boat, a heron, and these are all done by local artists. Actually, where the dolphin is was part of a seaside garden, which was planned and sort of instigated by the Beach Grove Garden a couple of years ago. But now, well, I think it was always meant to be a wild garden, but it lacks a lot of flowers. But it's definitely opened up the beach. Once you go over the wooden bridge, which is over the river Carn, you can see the ducks down there. You can feed the ducks sometimes. You start to walk along basically the route of the old river Cowie, which used to run in front of the houses all the way along to its current exit. And this path was only changed in sort of the middle of the 20th century. It's a big difference, because before then the only way you could access the beach was from Cowie itself. Stonehaven Beach has changed quite a lot in the 15 years since I used to come down here as a child. Especially, it's a lot tidier than it used to be. There's been a bit of an increase in bed and breakfasts on even more beachfront, and a few cafes have made the most of their big back gardens and opened it out onto the promenade. And as a result, it's a lot more used than it used to be. The beach itself is fairly rocky. I mean, there's sandy areas, but it's mostly rocks. And I think it's something to do with when they blew up a huge rock at the entrance to Stonehaven Harbour in the 19th century. There's definitely a large number of rocks just next to the harbour, quite big, thick rocks. The usual pebbles further along, but it's probably got something to do with that, I think. I'm about half to 3/4 of the way along the promenade now, and I'm coming up to where the River Cowie currently comes out. The tide's really far out just now. In fact, you can see almost an old kind of harbour. An old pier, but it's maybe just a collection of rocks that form a natural pier. I'm very close to Cowie just now as well, and Cowie's a little village of its own that's kind of been sucked into Stonehaven. But Cowie's where we're heading next, and this is where the swimming pool is, the open air swimming pool, and the Stonehaven caravan park. I'm just over the Cowie River now, and I'm looking up towards what used to be the old St Leonard's Hotel. And the St Leonard's Hotel shut down about 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, and has since been burnt down, well, mostly burnt down after arsonists started a wee fire obviously in there, which was a shame because it would have been a great wee place to film. It was a kind of hodgepodge of an old building and sort of 70s add-ons, but it would have made a great wee film location. And I know a few people were quite interested in applying to make films in there after it was bought over. It's going to be knocked down and turned into flats, no doubt, but at the moment it's a bit of a sorry state. Cowie Beach it's probably the nicest I've ever seen it, with the tide being out tonight, but it's fairly rocky and quite inaccessible from the main steps. They've been washed away over the years by the tide, and sometimes the tide comes right over the top and has been known to flood the old amusements which are still there. The further on is a sort of collection of rock pools which I'll talk about right at the end, but these are very, very important because one of the oldest fossils ever recorded was found here. We've come now to Stonehaven swimming pool, outdoor swimming pool actually, there's two of them. The outdoor swimming pool is the only remaining Art Deco outdoor pool in the UK, and it's beautiful. It's run by volunteers, or a committee of volunteers, and it opens every summer, and it's filled entirely with seawater, and it's heated up to about 31, 32 degrees. They extended it a few years ago to include a toddler pool, which is something that they didn't have before, and obviously they thought they were losing a lot of customers this way, and so they introduced this toddler pool, and that's been the only real change since it was built, apart from, the odd repaint and maybe fixing some of the facilities inside. It's right next to Stonehaven Leisure Centre, which has got the indoor pool, and obviously this caters for winter swimmers, and then the outdoor pool caters for summer swimmers. But there's aqua ceilidhs and band performances, and the schools all use the outdoor pool in the summer, and it's brilliant. It's a great wee resource to have, and it'd be a shame if it ever vanished. There's also an adventure playground just outside the swimming pool with chutes and swings and things like that. And I'm just walking between the two swimming pools now, and we're heading to the caravan park. I used to stay in the caravan park, or I stayed in the caravan park once or twice on holiday when I was much younger. It was when we were building our house at Newton Hill, and obviously we spent all our money on putting up the house, so we didn't have much left for holidays. So we used to come down to a friend's or a friend of a friend's caravan for a weekend or so, just for a break. And I remember it was really, really good fun, because you're right next to the swimming pool, you're right next to the park. There was lots of kids also on holiday to play with, and the caravan itself was nice enough. It's still there, although they're speaking about selling up the caravan park, which would be a real shame, because it is well used. I mean, it's full at the moment. I think it's just the sign of the times. The council want to cut everything, unfortunately. The caravan park itself makes up about half the area of Cowie, or it's about the same area as Cowie. Cowie is an old fishing village, and a lot of the original houses still stand here in a sort of square. And you can get an idea of what it was like when it was a sort of periphery little village from Stonehaven. I suppose a bit like Fitty was from Aberdeen. Same kind of idea, almost same kind of layout. But from here you can walk up to a church, which means you have to walk up a cliff, which I'm going to walk up in a second. But beforehand, we come to the start of the major fault line that runs from the northeast of Scotland all the way to the southwest. I'm on Boaty Road just now. That's the name of the street, Boaty Row, and across the road from the house is an area of grass where they used to dry the nets once they'd been hauled in off the fishing boats. It's quite hard to see where they actually landed the fishing boats, but if you go around the corner from Boaty Row heading north, you'll see there's a little winch, which is kind of sunk now. Well, they've raised the pavement, but they've kept the original winch, so it's sunk right down into the ground. It's not got its crank anymore, but you can follow the line of the winch down a sort of man-made slipway to where the fishing boats used to land. Quite treacherous looking area, and it must have been fairly difficult to get your boat in and out without damaging the bottom of it. So I'm actually at the line where the Highland boundary fault starts now, and it's got some information about the oldest air-breathing animal known to the world, which is called, well, I don't even know what it's called, Pneumododismus newmani, and it lived about 428 million years ago. And it was found in January 2003 by an amateur geologist called Mike Newman. But the Highland boundary fault is it sort of stretches from here all the way down to it goes right away through Ireland to Newfoundland. apparently you can see the fossil at the Towbooth Museum, which was right at the start of the talk. If you look back across the bay, you can see the War Memorial at the top of Berfy Braes, and if you go beyond that, you can walk right the way to Dunor Castle. So I walk up the cliffs to the church that's at the top of the cliffs at Cowie, and there are still an area where you can hang your fishing nets. I don't know if they're still used, but they're still cleared, so it's possible that they can be used, but they're empty at the moment. I'm just going to walk along the path now, and I don't think I've ever walked along this far before. This is a first for me, taking in the whole Stonehaven shore. Just as I'm walking along, there's a big pile of nets to my left, and what looks like more modern lobster catching baskets. The sort of traditional ones were at the Stonehaven Harbour, but these are metal cages, and they don't look like they've been used. This is not a path for the faint-hearted or for people with small children. It rises steeply and is right on the edge of a pretty good drop of 15-20 feet. But it's been well maintained, and some people have put in some steps. But I think sandstone, red sandstone cliffs are pretty amazing to look at. As I walked up the path, it kind of turns back on itself to go up, and it's just about then that you get the first glimpse of Dunor Castle, because until this point it's just below the brow of the hill where the War Memorial is, and it's pretty stunning when you turn round and it hits you. I've been told to look out for dolphins along this way. I've only ever seen one dolphin since I moved to Stonehaven, and that was from the train a few months back between this point and Muckles, which is just a couple of miles north of you, so might be lucky. Wow, I'm just looked down onto the Sklatty shore. Didn't see a dolphin, but you see stumps of rock, almost like, I suppose, the Giant's Causeway in Ireland. It's maybe related, but it looks like it's old. It's where the old cliff used to be, and it's been eroded away by the tide, because the red sandstone cliffs are also starting to form, almost cubes of sort of rock, and then they sort of become normal cliffs again. But you can see the sort of blackened stumps of these old, what they've been, the old cliff part. There's been a lot of sort of shear away as well at this point. You can see quite massive slabs, a good 6 feet long slabs of sandstone, and a few rabbits as well. This is what wind has done to the trees. I think they're trees that grow on the cliffs. The wind has kind of made them grow over the top of the path, and they're almost bent double. It's really cool. I've never seen anything like that before. I'm approaching this church, and it looks like you can't get to it until the last minute, when you have to cross a big concrete bridge, but it has no sides. It's quite interesting, because it just appears out of nowhere. It's kind of surrounded by bushes and trees. It's a bit Indiana Jones like. And I'm just wandering up to the entrance to the church now. It's a metal gate. See, it makes the typical church noise. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's better. And we're in the churchyard. And I'm not sure what this is called. I think it might be St Mary's. I'm not entirely sure. But obviously the church itself is derelict, and the gravestones kind of date from the early half of the 20th century, or only up to the early part of the 20th century. I'll have a wander around and I'll get back to you with some more news. No, it doesn't seem to be called... Oh no, it is St Mary's. Chapel of St Mary in Nathallen. And it's also called Cowie Kirkyard. And the information that I found out about this is that the church was first built in the 7th century. And St Nathallen taught the people to cultivate the land and grow crops. And when he died, there's a tradition that his treasure was buried wrapped in a bull's hide and buried in the extension of the churchyard. And the Cowie rhyme says, between the kirk and the kirkford there lies St Nachlan's hoard. And there used to be a place called Cowie Castle, which was 200 metres south of the kirkyard, and I saw that on the way up because I wondered whether I should be going that way. And it seems to be, it's just a low stone wall partially hidden in the undergrowth. But 400 years before that stood Cowie Castle, and it belonged to the Frasers. 1645 is when it started to fall apart, and it's all that remains of the royal borough of Cowie, which was a township which was once of greater importance than Stonehaven itself. Which I said that Cowie was separated from Stonehaven, but I didn't realise that it was that that powerful. A way to walk back down the way I came across the little bridge back past Cowie Castle, or the remains of Cowie Castle now, and then back down it into Stonehaven. And I hope you enjoyed this wee adventure along the waterfront of Stonehaven, and I definitely learnt a lot of new things, and I hope you enjoyed it.